Welcome back to Radio Row, New Orleans Convention Center. Of course, New Orleans hosting Super Bowl 59 between the Chiefs and the Eagles. On a Sunday, it's the Moj, Bob Marjanovich. This is the Northwest Tank Line Super Bowl show, and we're thrilled to have one of the all-time great Seahawks, a legendary Seahawk, Shaun Alexander, a guy who put up some monster numbers at running back. Shaun, nice to have you aboard.
Brother, welcome. Thank you for having me back. This is awesome. Man, in this the Super Bowl is always just fun, man, but it feels really great out here in New Orleans.
It's my favorite Super Bowl city. I've been lucky enough to do like 23 of them. I know. I did the one you played in, all right, so that tells you something. But it's just like, man, there's just New Orleans.
It's wonderful,
New Orleans,
man.
right?
Yeah. We've ate so good here. I mean, my goodness, I got here Tuesday, and we'd eat at some place. You know, you get the little fancy dinners, and those are great.
You're a big food guy too, right?
Yeah, you get the chefs, and those are great. But then, like, we've snuck in, dipped in these little mom and pop places.
Yeah.
Fabulous.
Yeah.
I'm like, what is going on here? Why do you not work for one of these big businesses? They're like, nah, baby, we got this. I'm like, oh, my gosh, this food's so good.
You know, we were just talking about this off air. It's cool because every year it's like you said, it's like the biggest family reunion.
Yeah.
And it's strange because there's always one degree of separation with somebody. You know what I mean? It's like, boom, you're talking to this guy, and he knows him. We had Brandon Bolden on yesterday, and we started talking about guys that played in Canada that we knew that, you know, that he played with. So there's always that one degree of separation. You know, you see a guy that you might have played college with, or he played college with the guy you played with, right? It's just – it's a small world. It really is, the football fraternity.
It's really cool, too, you know, and it's kind of like media, TV, players, coaches. It's really awesome. We were just eating breakfast this morning, and guy comes up to me, taps me on the shoulder. I'm like, oh, my God, it's Kenny Mayne. I'm like, I haven't seen you in forever. And, you know, all those main event things. We did so many of those in Seattle.
You know, we played football at Wenatchee Valley when Wenatchee, Washington.
Yeah.
Wenatchee actually had a football team.
Wow.
And then he backed up Randall Cunningham at UNLV.
Isn't that crazy?
Right? Like, okay, this guy's a player. Like, and, you know, he's done it. He's been there. You're wearing a jersey that I got to ask you about. You got a 34, a 20, a 34, and a 32. Different colors, obviously team colors, but it's Bo Jackson, Barry Sanders, Jim Brown, and Walter Payton.
Yeah.
Tell me about that.
Somebody sent it to me, and they were saying, hey, these are like the running backs of the century. And so they were kind of talking about those guys. And so I was like, oh, let me rock that. And so I thought, yeah, the Super Bowl would be a good place to rock this, you know. And these are just great guys of the times. You know, you got, you know,
32
Jim
Brown, 34 Walter, 20 Sanders.
Barry, and
then
Bo.
34 in the silver and black. Did you idolize the running back growing up?
Yeah, you know, I loved Emmett, who's like sitting right over there. It's kind of like my big uncle over there, you know. So I loved Emmett. I loved Marcus. You know, those are the guys of the 80s and 90s. And so I kind of took pieces of their games. And the older I got, the more I could study like older running backs. And I realized, oh, my guy's Tony Dorsett. If you watch me run and watch Tony Dorsett, you'll realize like I'm a 30-pound heavier Tony Dorsett.
Just in the style, right?
Yeah, he had the style. I was like, man, they can't mess with this guy. He's amazing. So it was really cool when I got to meet him and be around him for a little bit.
It's kind of funny. A lot of them have signature runs too, right? Like the Bo Jackson I've seen so many times. I don't know, recently YouTube, whatever, sprints down the left side. And the game against the Seahawks. I was there for that game where he ran into the tunnel. I was there that night as a fan where he runs over Bosworth. And then, you know, you talk about Marcus. For me, it's the Super Bowl versus the Raiders, the reverse comeback. And a lot of those guys have those runs. And Walter Payton, I mean, man.
Here's the jump in the end zone.
Yeah. For me, watching Walter Payton, all due respect to the other great backs that we're talking about, but, man, Walter Payton to me was just like the entire package. Right?
Yeah.
It's just, you know, one thing, too, about running backs, Shaun, and you'll probably attest to this, a lot of people always think about them just running with the ball.
Yeah.
Well, what are you doing the other 40 snaps, right? I mean, are you good? And Marshall Faulk was this type of player.
Yeah.
He was a great blocker. He was a great receiver. And he was a great running back. So that's something that I think, you know, people always think about just running the ball, but That's just, maybe a third of the snaps that you have in a game. How are you at blitz pickup, right?
Yep.
How are you at blocking in, say, pass pro or whatever the case may be? And, how are you as a receiver? Are you good enough to maybe force defenders to come to you and draw defenders to you? All of these things come into play, but it's funny, when you talk about running backs, everybody always just talks about running the football.
Marshall was so good that teams really didn't blitz when he was in the backfield because they were scared that they would throw him the ball. And that's where I was like, yeah, let me get my game to that level where if I catch the ball, they're going to be more scared. So they'd be like, let's not blitz when Shaun's in the backfield, because if they throw it to him, he's now going he's running downfield when everybody else is running with their backs against him. So, yeah, Marshall was amazing.
All right, the running backs in this game.
Yeah.
How do you rank them? How do you see them?
Well, I mean, without a doubt, Saquon's going to be amazing. And he's done a great job this whole year. I think the Eagles have a legitimate shot because they're so talented. But whenever you play against a running back like him, and you've got to be one-on-one because you've got to cover those receivers, he's got an opportunity to be very dangerous. Or they're going to let one of those receivers cook. So it's going to be pretty good.
All right, standtogether.org. Tell me about it.
Yeah, Stand Together, man. I've been with them for about 6-7 years now. About 850 of some of the most successful businessmen, women, and philanthropic leaders in the country, tackling some of the country's biggest issues, from education to community works to poverty to the juvenile justice system. And I have loved it. You remember last year we were talking about caffeine momentum and the kids that were in juvie and how they would get to come and work for caffeine momentum instead of going into juvie. And we've seen recidivism for the kids in that program go from what's 50%, which means they would go back to prison as an older age, to 11% from caffeine momentum kids. And I just think it's all because of the aunties and uncles, which look like social workers and psychologists and tutors. And so when they do all those things, it helps the kids succeed. And it's all been fueled by Stand Together, which they help, put their resources behind these great organizations that impact communities.
Well, Shaun, again, standtogether.org is the website. We appreciate you stopping by, and always a treat seeing you, man.
No doubt, brother, man. This is good, man.
All right.